Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and Iron Man here from the Block Runner, MetaZone, Rovi, and MScribe, and today we're going to be looking at the state of the trenches.
As we do, as we need to do.
Yeah, we're getting pulled in all kinds of directions, sometimes in the stock zone.
I think a lot more times coming up here soon. Yeah, we've kind of like been seeping in the reality pill.
Yeah.
You know, we're slowly been digesting it ourselves because this is one weird reality warp.
Yeah.
Some distortion of reality that I wasn't. We were anticipating it, but not like this.
Yeah,
right?
we have to understand the complexities of traditional finance.
Now,
And it's quite complex.
Of course. A 100-year-plus industry, you would imagine, would result in quite the web of complexity. And
Yeah, the stuff that we've invented for financial instruments is quite insane.
I would agree. There's quite the financial engineers out there, to say the least. But if you don't know what we're talking about, I guess refer to our old podcast from a few days ago where we talked a little bit more in depth.
And the previous video, which was 20 minutes long, or 30 minutes long.
Yeah, where we're kind of like getting into the weeds of the idea of Bitcoin treasury companies.
Yeah.
The idea of, Bitcoin is achieving like civilization scale consensus in its adoption with traditional finance. And we're in like the very early stages of figuring out how that molding process works.
Yeah.
And like how that translates into like actual, hopefully, sustainable viability for whatever end goal, right? But the ultimate underlier of it all is Bitcoin is now like ubiquitously accessible in its value, fundamental value to like all financial actors on Earth, right?
Yeah, yeah, and it listening to you say that, it feels like we're already kind of behind. Like, we're already late, but no, this is the beginning of like this adoption phase for Bitcoin.
Correct. Yeah, that's what it feels like. So we're gonna keep covering that, but as we do that, we got to keep up with what's happening on the trenches, right? Because that's how this whole journey began.
Yeah.
The crypto trenches. That's where even Bitcoin was incepted into like the trenches of the cyberspace, the internet.
Yep.
Right. The cyberpunks of yesterday, they came up with a solution to one of like finance's like biggest problems, right? So
yeah.
Here we are 15, 16 years later. It's becoming systemic at this point. But, at some point, the on-chain markets will recapture some of this, value that is now being created abroad.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. I mean, there is still a place for like on-chain activity, right?
Yeah.
Despite the dwindling on-chain activity, there's still a place for it, right? And it's going to come back.
I think it's not only going to come back, it's going to like redefine like the entire like understanding of finance, right? So
yeah, 100%.
Just like we're kind of living through the, I don't know, like when we first started our channel, it's like we had these like vision of the future when Bitcoin is going to be like fully adopted at scale. And it's like back then it was like hard to imagine how it's all going to play out, and it's playing out in real time. Yeah, which is kind of crazy to like think about.
Yeah, I think the most surprising thing about this journey so far is like, we could predict, companies buying Bitcoin and then countries. Yeah. That was easy, but what's surprising is what it actually looks like.
Exactly. So the same thing when it comes to like things like DeFi. Yeah. All these different financial primitives, becoming more functional and robust and, decentralized, whatever. Like, it's just a more efficient mechanism when it's on chain, right? So it's like you see the inevitability written on the wall, but you don't know how it's going to play out.
Yeah. Yeah. With public like stocks and public companies, they have to be essentially audited every quarter. They have to be public. Well, you know what blockchain does? It audits the chain every 10 minutes in the case of Bitcoin. Yeah. And so you can have automated auditing, built into these like blockchains. And so clearly this is the direction that the traditional finance is going to head towards.
Yeah. It was just like one of the competing ideologies though. It's like initially you create DeFi and like as like an antithesis to TradFi, not realizing it's like it's never going to happen unless TradFi gets their like equal positioning to the system, right? They're not going to just surrender the control of
absolutely not
value flow to like a decentralized primitive. It's more like they're going to architect and engineer this new model to still maintain the levers and flow of that, but bring it onto like this new on-chain rails.
Yeah, they got to benefit some way, right? So they're going to engineer that exactly. All right, so let's just jump into this. So we got Pump.fun. It's dying. according to its revenue. So Pump weekly volume just hit its lowest since October 2024.
That was right around probably like the time we started paying attention to it, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's like that's when the AI meta was really like starting to fester.
That's right, yes.
So like a lot of the newly launched and deployed Pump tokens were like AI centric, and I was like, wow, this is really, it's really happening, dude.
Yeah, you know what's interesting on Pump.fun? It's like if you look at the feed in real time, it's like a real time indication of what people are talking about on crypto Twitter.
For real, yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. We got a new report. Our last R2R capital market research is now live. Ethereum is back and strong. Congratulations, TJ.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe that yet.
Well, you'll believe it, I think, at the very end of this. Or at least maybe you'll have a glimmer of hope. We'll see.
Yeah, Pump.fun are not anymore traditional finance onboarding real-world assets narrative analysis.
I really wanted to pay attention. So there's a few points, of course. It's not obvious why that Ethereum's positioning is strengthening because of the LL2 thing. It's just like not a direct like connector when it comes to like value creation and value perception, but it's happening. And I think at some point that's going to register, right? Mm-hmm. And the market will pick up on that.
Yeah.
But the important thing here is there is a declining sentiment around, things like memes and Pump.fun and such. And, in that report, it talks about how there's like a dominant presence of a lot of bots, and therefore it's created kind of like an environment that's not favorable. You were looking at it.
Oh, it's this last one here.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead and just read through them.
Okay, so 93% of top 100 wallets are bots. Damn, 93%.
That's a lot, dude.
Yeah, that's right. The huge majority of people you're trading against are bots fine-tuned to anticipate all your moves, from sniping every early launch to diversifying accumulations, buy walls, and sell walls. Since first moment, you have nearly zero chance to be early.
Damn. Those are strong statements, right? That's definitely, you put out a report like this, that's definitely not going to bolster confidence, right?
So that's interesting. Of the top 100 wallets who have accumulated the wealth, 93% are bots. That's so insane. It's still the king, but for how long? The last update shared by CryptoRank shows how competitors are catching up to Pump.fun. During the last month, alternative meme pads were accounting for nearly 45% of the token launches, while during the previous month, number rarely scratched to 5%. Less than 1% of Pump.fun tokens ends on a Solana DEX. Yeah.
Essentially graduating.
Yeah.
Right?
Correct.
Yeah.
But Pump.fun has its own swap tool.
Well, I guess that's in the same category of a Solana DEX, right? So
I see. Yeah, you're right.
So less than 1% of the tokens actually bond or graduate. So it's a decrease from earlier in the year, 50%.
Yeah. Only 1.76% of Pump.fun traders walk away with over $1,000. Yeah. I mean, we've seen that metric before. Yeah,
which is lower than your standard casino experience, essentially. So what does this all accrue to? Essentially, like a lack in confidence from the user perspective, right? It's no longer perceived as like an opportunity.
Yeah. As, Yeah, I remember seeing this headline early on in 2024.
No, I don't think it was that early. I think it was like towards the tail end.
Maybe
like beginning
October.
Of this year.
Yeah, something like that. I don't remember where. So it says because in the casino, the number goes to around 2.5%. Is it really that much of a difference? Like going to casinos, like do you have really a better return on investment than Pump.fun?
No, not much.
No.
Not much, but still nonetheless, like I think that seeping reality, now that more data is coming out, there's a reason why, these metrics of volume are falling off a cliff essentially.
Yeah.
So it signals something, right? Like,
Sure.
Changes need to be made, whether it's a technical issue, cultural one,
demographic, maybe applying it to different sideline individuals like creators.
Yeah, different product iterations, right?
Yeah.
Which we've seen that happen with, Believe.
Yeah, exactly.
And so we're going to talk about, some new entrants in the space.
Solana's economy is booming. $1 billion in app revenue for 2 straight quarters. 3,200 monthly active developers, $800 million in quarterly validator revenue.
Yeah, so that statement coming from Solana, but if you look at the chart, it's definitely a steep decline from what it once was. But
yeah,
in context of like everything else in Web3, it's still in a booming state. Right?
Yeah, there's still activity here. Where
a pretty large share of activity.
Yeah. A few years ago, you needed a dev team, a white paper, and a 6-figure budget to launch a token. Now you just need a meme and a dream.
Mm-hmm.
It says introducing Moonshot, created by Moonshot. The simplest, most fun way to launch your own meme coin on Solana. Let me walk you through it.
Yeah, so remember Moonshot, dude?
Yeah.
It's like that very user-friendly app. I have it on my phone. You know, there's a lot of memes getting listed there.
So it started as like just a meme trading platform, right?
Yeah, basically, you just listed meme coins there. Super easy to buy. You can use Apple Pay, whatever.
Yeah.
It's as normally friendly as it gets, but they've entered their own name into like the launch ecosystem.
Gotcha.
Right?
So no coding, no tech headaches, no DEX deep dives. Open your Moonshot app, upload a meme, name your coin, pick a supply, hit create token. I mean, being able to do this on a phone, yeah, you're accessing billions of people. So that's a net positive, I think.
Yeah, they introduced like one new variable, which is like $1 million threshold. So typically what like the big thresholds to achieve for a meme coin is like 100K.
Yeah, 100K, yeah.
Roughly for Pump.fun, believe. But they added a new tranche because they, I guess, recognize the value of their own app and the fact that it's like a front-end user access point. If you achieve $1 million, you get like spotlight features. Right?
Yeah,
so
you get on the homepage.
You get the eyeballs.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, it's kind of like they've brought in the depth of like market viability testing for a meme coin and given them direct benefits. Like if you can get past $1 million organically, or not, if you're some sort of like sniper cabal.
Right.
Doesn't matter. Like you're on the homepage, you're in front of everybody's eyeballs. So expect great things from there. Right.
Well, I only expect great things with these token takers. Real tokens are already breaking out from this platform, Cumshot being one of them.
How could you not, dude?
Yeah, how do you not like that, dude?
Oh, yeah, dude. I mean, that's a good one.
Yeah, so PEMDAS, my favorite. Mooncoin.
What is that? That's the like order of operations thing for math?
Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally.
Oh, God, dude. Why do they teach us these things, dude? So cringe, dude.
Because Will still remembers it 20 years later.
Obviously, dude. We got to use it every day.
Yeah, dude. Not with AI, dude. It's
That's
useless.
true. You don't.
PEMDAS is like a thing of the past, dude. But a standout here is Mooncoin, right? So that's what stood out to me as like a potential optional play here.
Was that what stood out to you, Mooncoin?
It definitely wasn't Cumshot. It's a little crazy that one. I don't know, but Moonshot just because, in association to what we've seen before with Launchcoin and the Believe ecosystem, right?
It's the platform token.
Yeah, it seems like that's a recurring trend, right? Anytime there's a new launchpad, the launchpad needs some sort of native token to represent the ecosystem.
Yeah.
For the community of that launch pad place to kind of rally around.
Yeah.
It is like the front and centered marketing engine, right? The higher that token performs, it's going to attract more creators, it's going to attract more degens, all that. Right?
Yeah. And so Moonshot has acquired about 10% of Solana's market share already with 70 million in volume.
That's not bad, dude.
On a daily basis.
And it's only been like a couple days.
Yeah.
So again, another keep in mind, right? Whenever these new launch pads kind of launch, they tend to get a lot of like early traction.
Yeah.
But questionable long-term sustainability, right? Like remember Boop? Where the hell are they still on the list?
Boop is at the number 9.
Yeah. So you remember when they were like at the top here?
Yeah.
For like a brief moment in time for like a week or two.
Yeah. I mean, all of them are just meme coin launches, except for maybe Believe.
Yeah. Yeah. Then there's Bonk. So the list is getting bigger. There's more launch pads entering into the space, right? But
yeah.
So Mooncoin's big differentiator is that retail access point.
Yeah. So a bet on Mooncoin is a bet on Moonshot. So there it is, the declaration. And what's the market cap? We're looking at 4 million.
Okay.
With its all-time high at almost 10 million, 9.5 million.
Okay. So let's look at Launchcoin in comparison.
Yeah. So Launchcoin reached an all-time high of 344 million. And it's on its way back at a 144.
Yeah, so I don't know the mechanics of Mooncoin if it's the same. So Launchcoin is like always interesting, right? Because it's obviously quite the juggernaut in the space. Like it has pretty consistent like high volume for a token. And a lot of that, per our understanding of how these mechanics work, a lot of that volume and the fees are being directed back to the Launchcoin team, right? The Believe team.
Yeah.
So there's that expectation that some of that value is going to be somehow reciprocated into the ecosystem at some point. That's why the meme of today is like, hey, Pasternak win flywheel.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if Mooncoin has the same
the same,
yeah.
That would be interesting to see, because I feel like it's pretty easy to do. You just kind of engineer.
Well, Solana has given good tools and frameworks to enable these types of like flywheel delivery points to a platform native token back into the ecosystem somehow, some way, right? But
yeah,
it's got to work first of all, and yeah, but we'll see. So something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, let's go deeper into the trenches, known as ordinals.
Oh man, that's as deep as it gets, dude.
From ordinals, while breaking, the ordinals user count has dropped more than 90% since its all-time highs.
Yeah, so remember those ordinals, guys? Remember those things?
I do remember ordinals.
A couple summers ago, it was like the hottest thing on chain, to the point where like every other chain was spinning up their own.
Yeah, we call it the ordinal pandemic.
Yeah, it's all of a sudden inscriptions were hot. They're on Polygon, Ethereum, even Polkadot went so far as to like implement their own inscription standards and frameworks, right?
Yeah.
But here we are today. What are we looking at, dude, as far as like user metrics?
Yeah, so it starts with, so this is December
2023. I mean,
2023, and then now. Yeah, it's dropped 90%.
So are those like, what is that? Those are like actual.
I don't know if these are like human bodies or these are like apps being used or chain.
Well, those are the apps, right? OKX, Gamma, Magic Eden, Unisat. There's no way this is like 3 what?
It's got to be 3 tokens being used, right? 19.
Is it like 3 trades in a 24-hour? Maybe it's trades, dude.
That's nah.
I don't know.
In its heyday, 21,000 trades on OKX. No.
Well, maybe unique, wallet addresses like making a trade, perhaps, right?
Okay.
I think that makes a little bit. Even that is like very low, right?
Yeah.
We're talking 25,000 at its peak collectively across like all these apps.
I remember saying that in the early days, saying that this is early, and like it never really went beyond that.
That was like the top. Yeah. Right? Pico top. That's crazy. So ordinals struggling, obviously.
3 motherfuckers right now.
God damn, dude. So something needs to change in context of the Bitcoin ecosystem, right?
Yeah. But Rune June, Rune June? Mm-hmm. June Rune, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, today's the 30th. This is the last day, dude. We got today for Rune June to like play out.
So the Lambos, did they come out or no?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, it looks like everything's down almost 30-50% here.
Yeah, so it wasn't really, the Rune June narrative didn't really stick too hard. Dog tried its hardest, even through a Kraken listing and like some of the craziest marketing fluffery I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Still not enough to like really anchor like a sentiment 180, right? Unfortunately. So, yeah. But at least there's some new minting activity, right?
Yeah, so Bitcoin runes returns in Meta Protocol dominance probably nothing. And here's the last month with runes minting pretty much taking over.
Yeah, kind of like put an end to the Alkanes wave, right? Alkanes were pretty hot a few weeks ago. We covered them. Mm-hmm. Introducing some new, mechanisms to the Bitcoin ecosystem.
Man, ordinals are invisible here, dude.
Yeah, I know, man. So there's some things need to change, fellas. I don't know exactly what, but everybody's continuing their efforts nonetheless, right? But while all this is happening...
Yeah, Hyperliquid hits 1.5 trillion in trading volume over 12 months.
Jesus.
Generating $300 million in revenue. June volume reaches $208 billion, outpacing all other on-chain perpetual platforms combined.
Wow.
Hype is painting a 35% rally setup.
Yeah, so this is quickly becoming one of the unicorns of the cycle and like the darlings. If you go just look at that chart real quick, dude. Like we gotta really revel in that. Like that's beautiful. It's not like it's something that happened months ago and is like showing signs of withering. This is like happening.
This is like straight growth since 2023.
Yeah. Aggressive growth since like the start of the year. So yeah, man. So there's still pockets of Web3, the trenches, on chain, whatever, where there's some hope of a new product market fit discovery, right?
Yeah, and so something interesting is happening with Hyperliquid. They're introducing a Hyperliquid improvement proposal, which allows people to leverage builders to deploy perpetuals on their app.
Yeah, see, that sounds, in context of what we just saw with the chart, and like, again, that is the representation of a product market fit, right?
Yeah.
There's a clear demand for the access to this kind of like trading tool.
Yeah.
This primitive.
Mm-hmm.
So now, like, turning this into like a replicable system of some kind where new developers can leverage it for whatever.
Yeah.
That is typically the formula for like,
exactly.
For good results, right?
Yeah. Yeah, if something works, platformatize it and allow other people to leverage that in their own like flavor.
Yeah, it's hard for us to imagine what the flavorings will be.
For perpetuals, especially.
Yeah, I was like, we get it. Like if, Uniswap did a good thing, created like on-chain DEX liquidity, automated market makers, and then it became a systemic occurrence in Web3. And we've seen so much like
utilization of that.
Yeah, it's like, is this going to be
perpetuals? I mean, it's basically perpetuals is like an option that doesn't have an expiration date. So you, instead of when you buy a call or a put, you set a date, but with perpetuals you don't, and so you got to pay attention to not get liquidated.
It's interesting. Right? I mean, I guess what this can do is introduce new like stability mechanisms for price action for tokens. Crypto is like a wild cesspool of volatility in a lot of cases, so it could strengthen like through different mechanics. If this application has a native token, super volatile, but maybe it's generating revenue, so some of that revenue can be like levered to create some sort of like hedging mechanisms using perps that can kind of like keep stability to the native token, therefore more revenue generated.
Yeah, there's some stable coins that leverage that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they do exist. So you got to have a real financial acumen to understand how to like put this stuff together.
Yeah,
right?
But a financial engineer for sure.
Yeah, so maybe Hyperliquid's going to be the place, right? If you're trying to build like the future of finance, do it there, right?
Well, speaking of future of finance, Robinhood, you didn't think we'd just announce products, did you? The Robinhood chain is currently being built on Arbitrum, not Ethereum. Sorry, TJ.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the bull poster.
Yeah, why doesn't anybody ever say Ethereum anymore, dude? It's like everyone's afraid to say Ethereum. It's like Arbitrum. Yeah, what the fuck, guys? It's like it's what about Ethereum, dude? I feel bad a little bit.
Yeah, same.
But if you know, right? Them saying we're building on Arbitrum is they're building on Ethereum technically. Yeah. That is the final settlement to all these transactions.
Yeah, basically an L2.
It is an L2. Yeah. But still, the point is Robinhood is coming on chain, and that's a big deal. I mean, another major retail access point to traditional equities markets, right?
Yeah. Oh,
man. You going to play something?
I was going to play it, but hold on. Let me get my audio going. Wow. We need to play the first few seconds of this because it's pretty interesting.
Are we going to get Strucketh again? Copyright Strucketh?
Probably.
I'm down. I don't care.
I mean,
let's get Strucketh, dude.
Well, let me connect this. There we go. Yeah, check this out, dude.
Holy.
I'm in my 1960s Jaguar, just going on the mountain.
Fucking James Bond vibes, dude.
Yeah. We're definitely going to get Strucketh.
With this like epic music?
Yes.
Oh, man.
They need to just use AI music. That way nobody gets Strucketh.
I agree. Damn, son.
Yeah, he's still driving. He's going somewhere important, obviously. He's like speeding.
No concern for life.
No lives matter right now. That's Vlad.
Yeah.
That's
flexing his $1 million watch, I'm sure.
He's the CEO of Robinhood.
Yeah.
Oh. Start driving with gloves, dude.
You can't taint those perfect hands, dude. Those palms. It cannot be tainted by,
No, he just made it to his house, guys. Come on. It's like you always enter with like two random people to your house.
Don't we all? That's a nice house. Damn, nice little flex.
Let me
get a drone footage. Just in case you guys didn't
so what
appreciate
it. What are we doing here?
Right.
Oh, we're here for a presentation. That's what we're doing here.
Welcome to the French Riviera and the historic Chateau de la Croix They guard.
Oh,
Okay,
maybe that's not his house.
That's not his house.
Okay, we're just like talking shit for no reason. Pretty epic entrance though. Holy,
I know. That was great. I enjoyed it. I thought that was fun.
He needs to be careful though, dude. France is like where all those like crypto beheadings are happening.
That's
right. Or those like befingerings or whatever.
Yeah, you get kidnapped in France and
They
London.
say you pulling up in a Jaguar, dude, and like a fucking gloves
You're
on.
done.
Those fingers are mine.
Yeah.
I want that ledger access, dude. You know, he's got to be careful.
Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully we covered all the things that are happening in crypto. And if you guys have any questions, please put it in the comment section below. And if you find anything in crypto you consider interesting, also put it in the section below, because we like to look into the comments and do research on what people are getting into. So appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.
Peace.